As you probably know by now, we're using the ketogenic diet as a means of treating my schizoaffective disorder. And through the process of sharing this journey, we've received a lot of requests from you guys about wanting to give more details about what exactly it is that I eat in a day. And I think that's probably a really important component to share as well, given that food is such a big part of this metabolic intervention. So in this video, I'm going to be bringing you along to give you an example of what the kinds of foods I typically eat in a day and what the macros are, and break down in terms of fat, protein, and carbohydrates. Now, with that said, I do want to just give a bit of a content warning if you are more sensitive to discussion of breakdown of food and, measuring food, looking at macros like breakdown of fat, protein, carbohydrates, and calories, then maybe steer clear of this video. But if you're interested in learning more about the kinds of food that I eat to stay on medical keto and what that whole process looks like, then that's what I'm going to be sharing in this video today. Putting in cauliflower, chicken bake, and my chronometer. These are the macros. So not great in terms of fat. I want a lot more fat than that. So what I do is I add an avocado to this meal as well. And then the macros get better. So avocados, we're always told that they're like the healthy fat. And I think that's true. So we try to work them in as a source of fat in our meals as much as possible. Plus they taste really good. We used to have a problem with avocados going bad really quickly. We couldn't really find the sweet spot, but we realized that if you let them ripen outside of the fridge for a little bit until they're just about perfect, and then you throw them in the fridge, they'll last way longer. Hot tip. These macros are still not the best. I want the fat to be more around 50 or 60. Protein is probably okay there, maybe a little bit higher. So I'm probably just going to have a fat bomb as well.
Maybe some macadamia nuts?
Maybe. I usually eat a little bit less for breakfast so that I can eat a little bit more for lunch and dinner. I don't really like breakfast, but... So I realized I didn't even explain what the cauliflower chicken bake is, but I like to be able to reach for leftovers in the morning. I'm not big on breakfast foods, and so just being able to reach for leftovers in the morning is kind of nice. What's in this cauliflower chicken bake, which has become kind of a staple of ours, is, of course, cauliflower. And then there's rotisserie chicken, there's heavy whipping cream, there's cheddar cheese, there's Parmesan cheese, and there's macadamia nuts. And that's kind of the gist of what goes into this little casserole bake. And it's really, really good. So I kind of thought about not showing this because I said that I was going to give up coffee, but it's hard. Yeah. I think Nicole called it an aspirational goal at this point, and that's kind of where it is. But I'm working on it. I will continue to try to swap out for decaf, but in the meantime, I'm going to enjoy this caffeinated coffee with a fat bomb. So I made these yesterday, and I kind of always try to have a batch on hand in the freezer. But what they are essentially is cream cheese, butter, almond butter, and erythritol, and a little bit of vanilla, all blended together and then frozen and cut up into little serving sizes. They're tasty, and they're a really good way to get in a good dose of fat. You do need to be careful with these though, because they do have erythritol in them, and that's something that not everyone can tolerate. It can kind of knock people out of ketosis sometimes, so that's something you need to be mindful of. But I think you could probably make them without the erythritol too, and they just wouldn't be as sweet. But yeah. Something that has been a staple since starting keto is electrolytes, and we've really enjoyed using Element because it has almost zero carbs in it, and they taste really good, and they have really great amounts of the electrolytes that we're looking to replenish. So we've been using this, and not all of them have zero carbohydrates. Some of them have 2 or whatever, but this watermelon one has the lowest, I think we found, or the mango chili, but I like the watermelon better. So you just dump it into a bottle of water. And it doesn't matter how much. This is a really big bottle, but It just depends how diluted you want it, but it's still really salty and tasty, even in this amount of water. You just stir it up. I'll usually add some ice, but it's good to go. So going to the gym, and Rob ate all of my bars that I like to eat before the gym. So we're gonna have some macadamia nuts, which are actually really high in fat.
I did not eat all of her bars.
Yes, you did.
We get bars. I ate the bars that were my bars, and...
Well, then where'd they go, Rob?
You ate them.
No. So that doesn't look like a lot of nuts, but just wait until you see the macros behind it. It's kind of mind-boggling how much fat is packed into this small amount of nuts. 32 grams. This amount of macadamia nuts, there is 24.3 grams of fat. Wow. Good keto snack. And only 1.3 grams of carbs, net carbs. Okay, we got back from the gym and I'm hungry, so we're gonna make some lunch. Went a little high on my carbs this morning. I'm at 7.2, I think, which is higher than I typically am at this time of day. And I was planning to make a bit of a carbier lunch. So we'll see how this goes. Cauliflower rice. I'm so hungry.
Peanut butter cup?
Can't get in. It's a sign. I'm not supposed to be eating this. Cheers. So the macros on this are pretty good in terms of being little fat bombs. There's 13 grams of fat per cup, and there's 1 gram of net carbs and 3 grams of protein. But like I said about the erythritol, it's important to be careful with stuff like this because some people can't tolerate this kind of product that have the sugar alcohols and whatnot in it that can potentially knock some people out of ketosis. So this is a part of my repertoire and I enjoy these almost daily. But it's not for everyone, so you got to be careful.
What's it like compared to a Reese peanut butter cup?
Way better. These are the best. The best. If you can find these and you can tolerate this kind of stuff, it's the best. For lunch, I made one of my favorite dishes. I started off by making some cauliflower rice from a frozen package, and then I added some oven roasted chicken breast and then some cheese curds. I added some coconut milk to make it more fatty and creamier. And all of these items were kind of leftovers in my fridge, so to warm it up, I just popped it in the microwave. I cut up some avocado, added it to the mix, and then mixed it all up. And it doesn't exactly look the most appealing, but it tastes great. So my macros were not as good in terms of fat content for this meal that I just ate. It was 30 grams of protein, which is a little bit high, 6 grams of carbs, which is also a little maybe high. Well, it's not bad. And then 40 grams of fat. But when I add the peanut butter cup, it's 33 grams of protein, 7 grams of carbs, and 53 grams of fat, which is more in line with where I need to be. So it was a good nutritional choice to have that peanut butter cup. I'm also well over where I should be for fat consumption, kind of where I should be for protein consumption, and over on calorie consumption as well because I am more active. We went to the gym this morning and I'm planning to go for a run this afternoon too. So I do take that into account in terms of how much fat and protein and calories and all that stuff that I'm consuming. And I do eat a lot more to make up for that. So I had a quick fat bomb and then hopped on the treadmill to do my run, but got 2K in and wasn't really feeling it. So stopped. That's okay. Maybe I'll try again later. Who knows? So I'm just going to go sit down at my computer for a minute before picking up Teddy, and I'm going to crack open a Zevia Cola. Now, a couple things wrong with this. First, there's a bit of caffeine in here. Probably shouldn't be drinking that in the afternoon. Sorry. But and also it's sweetened with stevia. So there's no carbs or anything in it. There's no sugar in it. There's no carbs. So it's fine on keto. But again, this is one of the ones that some people might need to watch out for in terms of staying away from things like stevia and sugar alcohols and things like that, where maybe not everyone can tolerate it as well. I know that I can tolerate that sort of thing, but this is another option and something else that I like to reach for if I'm craving something other than the monotony of water and electrolytes. It's just sparkling water, but it's flavored. It's not sweetened or anything, so there's no carbs or sugar in it, but it's root beer flavored sparkling water. So it's fizzy, it's flavored, it's nice. Oh, that's a big one. Jesus. Peppermint tea. Tea is a safe keto option.
Yeah, you could still go have coffee and date someone.
Yeah, just get a tea or a black coffee. I just want to take a minute to share with you some staples that we have in our medical keto diet routine that we maybe don't touch on in this video. Some of them we do, things like avocado are really a part of so many of our meals. They're a really great way to just add healthy fats to any meal. Rob said I should have held up avocados when I said that, so here they are.
Maybe they've never seen avocados before. Lauren's spicy today.
Or things like what I had a snack on before we went to the gym. Macadamia nuts are a really, really good source of, again, healthy fats that are, good to just add to your daily fat intake. They are a little bit expensive, so that's maybe makes them a little bit less accessible, but if you can get your hands on them, they're a really good source of fat. Some other kind of snacks that we reach for throughout the day are things like these Parmesan crisps. Let's see, what are the macros? They're really low carb, high fat, higher protein, so maybe not the most medical keto breakdown of macros, but they're still something nice to reach for, and maybe a substitute for chips or something if you like to snack on those sorts of things. We've been really getting more into cheeses. There's these handy little packaged snack size cheeses that we consume fairly regularly. There's Havarti and Gouda, but there's so many different kinds of cheeses that you can get, even if it's not in individual snack size packages, but they're really good again for hitting fat and protein and low carbs. It's usually actually no carbs. Something that Rob actually does a lot is bone broth. And these are like individual packets of bone broth. You can get them in big containers and stuff that you can portion out, but it's a really good source of protein. And what he does is he adds MCT oil to his bone broth. This is really good, and it's probably a staple when on keto as well because it is really high in fat, but it also increases ketone production. So this is kind of a staple, and he just adds this to bone broth and he enjoys it. It's not my favorite. It's not something that's really in my repertoire, but sometimes I'll add MCT oil to my coffee or to various other things. Coconut milk, you guys saw me adding this to my lunch today with the cauliflower rice and the chicken and the cheese and the avocado. It's just a really nice fatty sauce, I guess, to spice things up with. And I really like the taste of coconut, so I like to have this with a lot of different meals. It's just kind of a nice way to up the fat content. It does have a little bit of carbs in it, so you do have to be kind of careful of that adding up, but it's really not too bad. Another option is coconut cream. This is really nice. I like to dip berries in it as a nice little treat every now and then. That can be a little bit carby as well, so you do need to watch that, but it's kind of a nice treat every now and then. This kind of goes on a lot of our meals. I never really thought that I would be slathering mayo on most of my meals, but this is kind of a staple of ours, and it's a really, really good way to just increase the fat content and the good healthy fats when you choose mayo that is like this, like made with avocado oil instead of, hydrogenated vegetable oils or seed oils So try to find the ones that are more avocado oil based. They're a little bit healthier. Something else that Rob eats quite regularly is eggs, and that's actually a really good source of protein as well as fats, and is usually pretty low carbohydrate as well. So that's kind of a nice thing to just throw into your daily routine as well. Should we tell everyone what's in here? Okay, so we've got some roasted asparagus with some olive oil, lots of olive oil drizzled over top. We've got the beef casserole, which is ground beef, cream cheese, cheddar cheese.
That's it.
And that's it.
Well, there's also avocado oil in there.
Avocado oil in there. And then we have half an avocado just to up the fat content again. We're going to stir it all up and gobble it all up, hey? Mm-hmm. You ready? Is it yum? No. So what are the macros for this meal? So it is a little high as well on protein. So that is something that most people are going to have to watch a little bit. A lot of the recipes out there for keto are not really strict medical keto. It's often very close protein and fat amounts. So you kind of have to do things like what we do, like add avocado to most meals to up the fat intake, add oils or whatever it may be. But the breakdown for this portion that I have here is 38 grams protein, 5 grams carbs, and 51 grams of fat. Brings my total for the day to 101 grams of protein, where 94 was my goal. So I'm a little over that, but that's okay, I think. My net carbs is 19.4, and my goal is under 20. So just came in there. I had a kind of a carby lunch. And then my fat intake for the day is 189.3, where my goal was 171. So over on fat. And again, like I said, I was more active today. I went to the gym and then I did a short run. I might do a little bit more of a run later on tonight. So I think it's okay to go over on my fat and my protein goals, so long as I'm staying under on the 20 grams of net carbs.
I want the pasta.
And this is what he's eating. But to be fair, it's protein pasta. It's made with chickpeas and beans. Oh, sorry, fork. Are you going to show them how you eat?
No.
And there's so many different ways that you can eat this beef cheese casserole. Like we're just having it over asparagus with avocado, but we've put it in lettuce wraps. What else have we done with it?
We put it into like spinach bowls.
Yeah, like having it over a spinach salad is really nice. And you can even add some mayo to up the fat content. And then it's kind of like a burger salad bowl. I don't know, you can really throw it with anything. Any type of vegetables you can throw it in with. And it's really nice. And another note, just to be clear, the macros that I just listed as my goal macros are set specifically for me with my keto coach, Nicole. So they're like tailored to my own body composition and what I need. And so that's going to look different from person to person. So don't necessarily follow the breakdown of macros that I'm following. You'll need to consult with a medical professional who can kind of guide you more with that. You're talking with your hands like I am.
But the carb amount of 20 is kind of a...
Pretty standard, yeah. 20 grams net carbs. Something that's interesting is that I'm probably going to have a snack or two before I go to bed or like after dinner or something. And that's probably going to put me a little bit over 20. And when we started this and for the first little while, I was really strict about staying well under 20 just to, know how that affected me. But as we've kind of gone through this, I've kind of learned more about myself and what my body and brain need. And I'm generally okay to go a little bit over 20 net grams of carbs. and it doesn't really affect my ketone production or how I'm feeling.
And your
So-
ketone production is very high.
It is very high. It's kind of weirdly higy. So that's maybe why I get away with having maybe a bit more carbs, but generally speaking, I do try to stay under 20 net grams. Give me another scoop. Thanks. It's really, really good. And that's something that both Rob and I have been finding, is that most of the foods that we're eating are really, really good and really satiating. And it hasn't been like a hardship being on keto. There's still so many delicious food options to eat, and it can still be a fun experience.
You know you're a little star in this, hey? Yeah. Yeah.
Talking about what I eat in a day, I think there's one thing that I want to address. The fact that, I do have a history of an eating disorder, and there's been a lot of people commenting concern that I'm losing weight, I'm not eating enough. Keto is not good for me in that regard. And I just want to talk about that a little bit. Like today, I won't get into specifics about calories, but the chronometer, or actually my coach my keto coach set a set calorie amount, target amount that I should hit to maintain my weight and health and whatnot. And then it also adds the calories that I burn through exercise to that total. And I'm actually like over 600 calories above that today. And that's the norm. I find myself eating way more calories than I used to consume before starting keto. And it just feels like a lot more of an intuitive process. And I'm eating what my body is telling me it needs. And so it's a little frustrating to be reading all these comments that are, kind of accusing me of having an eating disorder again, when that's something that I've struggled with in the past and I know I'm not struggling with now. In fact, this is probably the healthiest relationship I've ever had with food. And so hopefully that will help to abate some of those concerns, as well as the fact that I have not lost a single pound while on keto. Yeah. I think people think that my body is changing or whatnot, and that is probably just my body becoming healthier looking. My weight hasn't changed. My calorie intake has gone up. And so, yeah, hopefully that helps quell some of the concerns around eating disorders and weight and all that stuff. But I am going to be creating a whole specific video on the topic of keto and eating disorders and delving more into how those two work together or don't work together and all that, as well as talking more about my own experience with it and talking to experts about it. This is where that background noise is coming from.
Yes, your hands are very messy. We know.
So as predicted, I ate more after dinner. I had another serving of the beef casserole, and it was delicious the second time around too, but now I'm really full. I also had a spoonful of coconut milk. So I'm full and I can't really be bothered to go for another run. So I'm not going to. I'm going to try again tomorrow. Going to make a tea, go read in bed for a little bit, and then bedtime. So that was an example of the types of foods that I eat in a day. Of course, that's not everything that I eat while maintaining medical keto. There are a multitude of other foods and meals that I enjoy as well. We're trying to share as much as possible in the various vlogs and other videos that we're putting out throughout this project. So keep watching those to get more ideas for foods to eat as well. Thanks so much for watching. And as always, wishing you and your loved ones good health. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.